Hey, what's up everybody? This is Nightwing2303 from Nightwing2303.com, and today we have another performance review, and it is on the Jordan Melo M8, Carmelo Anthony's 8th signature sneaker with Jordan Brand. So without wasting too much time, let's get right into it. Alright guys, so as usual, we'll start off with the bottom of the shoe here. As you can see, the traction base is a mixture between herringbone and then a textured surface, and then you have full-on herringbone in the heel. The traction on these was absolutely fantastic. As a guard, I was worried about the front areas as well as the side areas, mostly because the textured spots are right where a guard would be moving quickly, so forefoot movements and things like that. Surprisingly, it kept up perfectly. I had absolutely no issues, whether it was on a dusty court or a perfectly clean court. These things basically kept you planted on the ground the entire time. I was not hindered in any way whatsoever by any section of the traction. So one thing is that I'm not going to rate these a 10 out of 10 just because I feel like nothing is truly ever perfect. So for those of you wondering why I never really rate certain categories extremely high as far as a 10 out of 10 goes, that's why. I am holding off until I find something that is literally perfect, because there's always room for improvement. But that's pretty much why I rate certain things in certain ways. But as far as these go, these are pretty much a 9.5 out of 10, which is saying something from a guard about a forward shoe, so, or shoe geared towards a forward at least. So traction on these, absolutely just surprising. What a wonderful thing to have on a sneaker that is not even technically meant for you, yet it works very, very well. So as far as cushion is concerned, this is one area where I will actually give the shoe a perfect score. I typically do not like mixed combo units, meaning one cushion in the back and then a separate type of cushion in the front. These ones feature an airbag in the heel and then a 10mm zoom bag in the forefoot. These are huge zoom bags, and I typically don't even like this type of zoom bag. I like the thinner ones. However, this type of zoom bag, it's only exposed on one side, and the side that it is exposed on is harnessed and housed by a TPU cage, so there's not that really sunken in squishy feeling. On the medial side, it is complete foam, so again, this is somewhat of an embedded zoom unit, and it is got a small layer of foam on top of it, so it's just a really, really nice, comfortable ride. Very, very responsive as well, even though it's not very low to the ground. The heel portion was very surprising because it is an air-based unit, you know, something totally different than a zoom unit. However, it feels like you have zoom the entire way through, so I'm not quite sure if that is due to the recess section in the heel right here. Basically, within your heel strikes, it kind of compresses inwards a little bit, so you get a more squishy feeling than you normally would with a max bag. But it could also be that the PSI, or the air pressure that they put inside of the airbag, is just a little bit lower, so they're a very, very consistent feel from heel to toe, which was something astounding. Because like I said, I think the last shoe that I played in, besides the Jordan 2012, where it had the blue insole with the heel in the front and that articulated zoom in the forefoot, was the Flyweight 1, and that was really like one of my only gripes with the cushion, was that it just wasn't very consistent. It was kind of rough in the heel, and then very like squishy and responsive in the forefoot. This shoe is nowhere near that same type of feeling. So one other thing that I really enjoyed with the shoe itself was the foam. This foam is a very nice and soft foam, so again, it's adding to the softness of the bag as well as the forefoot zoom unit. So the entire time when you're on court, not only are you extremely comfortable, but it's such a consistent ride from heel to toe, it's ridiculous. So cushion on these, A+, 10 out of 10. I can't really, explain it to you any better. It was surprising, and what more can you say? Cushion in this shoe, bar none right now, is probably the best that I've played in up until this point. Alright, so material and fit. The fit I felt was a little bit big, so I ended up going a half a size down. These are size 8.5 instead of my typical size 9. Lengthwise, my toe was really close to the edge. There was one point in time when I stopped very quickly. The traction did its job, and my foot just went just a little bit further up the shoe than what I would have liked, and I ended up jamming my toe. Wasn't a huge deal, mostly because I did buy a half a size down. The reason that I bought a half a size down, though, is because this heel area right here, it just wasn't locking my foot in with my normal size, so that's what I ended up going with, was the 8.5 instead of 9. The materials themselves, you have a very durable patent leather upper, and it's right on all of the high wear areas, so it's going to be hard to see, but there's like little scuffs and scrapes all over the sides and the forefoot of the shoe here, and other than that aesthetic look, it really hasn't taken any damage whatsoever, which is great. Then you have a mixture between fly wire on the upper portions and a soft suede or nubuck. Pretty sure it's a nubuck. It's very short cut and fine. Basically, the patent leather did great. The fly wire held your foot down just the way that you'd expect. One area of concern just was the upper portions of the fly wire and the nubuck. It just didn't hold up its shape over time, so the longer that you played on court, the more heat and moisture you received due to the lack of ventilation, and the materials really softened up. So it didn't last as long as it maybe could have, but due to the lack of ventilation, but basically it did do its job well. So if you were playing in a regulated game where you have timeouts, half times, things like that, rests while you're on the bench, this shoe will hold up for you perfectly. If you are a pickup game player where you're out on the court for 2 to 4, 5 hours, however many hours that you might play, this shoe will break down on the upper due to the heat and moisture buildup inside of the sneaker from the lack of ventilation. So just to warn you, if you're a long time on the court type of person, where you're going to be on there for a few hours, you might want to look for something else, unless that type of thing doesn't really bother you. But that's pretty much your call. So that's pretty much it. The fit, like I said, I had some issues with the heel, even when I did go down half a size, so I ended up lacing these through the back loop on that little plastic piece right here. If you wanted an even more secure fit, the laces are really long, so you could lace them up through here and go back around and lace them up through here as well. So basically run your laces all the way up to the top, and that'll give you an even greater heel lockdown as well. So that's just a small tip. I just used the one on the back side just because that's all I pretty much needed, but if you wanted extreme lockdown, lace them all the way up to this one and then keep going to that one, and it'll wrap the laces a little bit further back and really pull your ankle and heel into the back of the sneaker. So as I was saying before, with the material and fit section, the ventilation is heavily lacking. The only airflow that you really get in the shoe itself is from the tongue. Now, the tongue is decently breathable from about here down. From that point up, there's a lot of padding inside of the tongue, which is good and bad. The good thing is that you can lace your sneakers up as tightly as you can, which is something that most of us have, slowly getting irritated with the very thin tongues that Nike and even Jordan Brand has been providing sometimes. Now, other than the ventilation in the tongue, there isn't anything anywhere else. There's no perfs in the fly wire, and there definitely could have been. There's no perfs along the patent leather in the front or toe box, and again, there could have been. So that's one of the areas that was very poor, which was ventilation. If the ventilation was beefed up a little bit, so a little bit more airflow, it would have made possibly the materials last a lot longer while you're on court for a longer period of time. So, those two areas kind of coincided together in this particular shoe. So if one was better, meaning the ventilation, then the material and fit section would have gotten a little bit of a higher grade as well. So as far as support is concerned, the upper itself is the 3-layered material system. So you have your Patent leather, you have your nubuck, and then you also have your fly wire. Basically, the patent leather is the most supportive of the materials that are on top, and you're mostly just getting that support from about here up to the front of the toe box. Most of your support is coming from the TPU frame, which is pretty much adding a lot of support and stability within the cushion system, since it's so much cushion, and it's very restrictive on the lateral side, so you really can't get any movement whatsoever. On the medial side, it is right here in the arch, a little bit overpassed towards the heel, nothing in the forefoot, so there is some flexibility towards the medial end, but nothing like what you would get in an Adidas product that features the sprint frames and things like that. Again, mostly because it's catered towards a forward. However, the ride was so smooth from heel to toe. These are really not that flexible whatsoever, and it didn't bother me one bit, which is very surprising because I typically like a very nice form-fitting, flexible sneaker being a guard. But this shoe definitely kept up, very supportive through and through. So if you're a smaller player like myself, it can definitely support you with your quick cuts, sharp turns, fast-paced movements, very rapid stops, and change of directions. Whereas if you're a larger player with a lot more power, a lot more weight, someone like Melo, where you're kind of like down low in the post most of the time, again, this is definitely going to be a good option for you. Alright guys, so that pretty much takes care of the review on the Jordan Melo M8. Overall, this is a fantastic sneaker. I was pretty much in shock with their performance, especially with their value as well. Originally retails for $130. That's what you could pick up the newer colorways for. An older colorway like this, you can get these for around $90, $99, maybe even less at some spots. So, fantastic sneaker. When you put it in the lineup of their main performance models, which would be the Air Jordan 2012 for one, and then the two other signatures with the CP 3.5 and the Jordan Flyweight 2. This basically it's geared towards a forward, but I'm serious when I say this, like anybody could wear this shoe. I'm a fast-paced guard, low to the ground, quick movements and changes of direction, and this shoe kept up with me not only fantastically, but it pretty much played way better than the CP3s, which is predominantly a guard shoe. Overall, and as far as the flyweights, I feel like those are just a little bit better, mainly because they're a little bit more flexible, both in the forefoot and along the upper. So, but definitely a good buy if you're a forward. Go for it. You'll definitely enjoy this shoe. If you need maximum cushion as a guard, you really can't get anything better than this right now. So, this is definitely a contender for top sneaker of the year, and right now everybody's asking me what brands are pretty much doing their thing in the performance market, and I'm telling you honestly, Adidas and Jordan Brand flat out are pretty much killing every other brand out there, including Nike. Nike's three signature models, the KD, the LeBron, and the Kobe, none of them have matched any of Jordan Brand's big three signatures, and same thing goes with the Adidas signature line, and those are well under any price point that Jordan Brand or Nike is placed at. So if you're looking for something lower end as far as a price point goes, go with Adidas. If you're looking for something a little bit higher end that usually goes on sale, Jordan Brand products usually do that, and they're beasts on court. So this shoe, huge surprise. Can't really say that enough, but this is definitely a great performance model. So if you have not had a chance of playing these yet and you're looking for something with maximum cushion, definitely go ahead and at least try these on in store, see how they fit. So thank you guys again. Thanks for all your support. Please make sure to stay tuned as we have plenty of stuff coming, and also check out nightwing2303.com for all of your performance needs. And with that being said, thank you very much, and until next time guys, have a good one.